Welcome to the Nikki Clarke Show. How is everybody doing? Oh, I love it. Right, fantastic. Thank you so much for making this your stop on a Friday night. Couldn't have been a better place for you. So thank you. And I am your host, Nikki Clarke. So excited to be here again live on Go Live TV here in the studios in Toronto, Canada. And I have a stellar lineup of guests for you tonight. If you don't know about the Nikki Clarke Show, the Nikki Clarke Show has actually been around for 15 years. We're going to be celebrating 15 years. Thank you. October 27 here at this very same studio from 7 o'clock to 8. So I want to invite you all to come back, enjoy. We have some great performances by some good friends of mine. We're going to have some dancing, DJ, and cake. You don't want to miss that. That's going to be so much fun. So we're going to start off the evening with an incredible woman. She's a mover and shaker in the community. She's doing so much to just inspire people from every walk of life. And she's here today to share her incredible story. So please put your hands together for the beautiful and talented Dr. Patricia Celan to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you. You look lovely.
Thank you. You too. I love that we've got some red.
Yeah, we're
got
both that red thing.
Being patriotic.
Yeah, who else got the memo? Let's see.
Nobody else.
Nobody else, just the two of us. Awesome. So again, thank you. And I read your bio and my jaw dropped. I was just so amazed by just everything you've done. You have an incredible journey, and I'm really proud of everything that you have done for yourself and for the community. So let's hear your story. Tell us about your background leading up to sitting right here in front of me on the show.
Okay, wow, thanks so much. So there's the work answer and there's the pageantry answer. So where I was about 10 years ago, I was just finishing up my undergraduate degree in psychology, and then I went right into medical school at UBC, where I worked hard at obtaining my MD. And right after that, I came to Dalhousie University on the opposite coast of Canada, where I have been ever since working on my psychiatry residency, just trying to get through the grueling training to become an official psychiatrist. So that's my day-to-day. Whoa!
Yeah, big cheers for that.
But where you and I met was in July, actually, when we were both judges at the Mrs. Canada pageant.
Yes.
And so we crowned a bunch of people. You're going to be interviewing somebody else tonight who I crowned. And I also crowned Joy Cotoner, who was my successor of Mrs. Universe Canada.
She'll be here on the show
Yeah,
soon.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm excited for her. And I'm also excited for her that she's going to be competing in the Mrs. Universe pageant in the Philippines in just a couple weeks.
In just a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
yes.
That's coming up so soon. I'm really excited for her. I know that she's going to do amazing, and the Philippines is such a great place to compete in a pageant because pageantry is huge there. So she's going to have a great time.
It is huge. Amazing. Well, she's lovely, and I think she's an excellent representation for Canada, as you were in that space.
Yeah, I was
a few years ago.
Mrs. Universe Canada I competed in February in Bulgaria. Yeah, and where that brings me to now is that the next title I won after giving up my crown to Joy is actually.
Ooh, what do we have here? Look at that.
Yeah, so right now I am Dr. World Canada. So this is my crown, and ooh, I hope I don't hurt the flower. Okay, this is my sash, my Dr. World Canada sash.
I had no idea they had a Dr. World pageant.
Yeah, so actually it's the first doctorate pageant that I've ever heard of. I think it might be the only one. And it is
It's amazing.
It's fully for people with doctorates. So this is my crown. It's a completely virtual pageant. Where everything about it is virtual. The Dr. Canada pageant, Dr. America pageant, and the Dr. World International pageant itself is also virtual next month. And it's fully for people with doctorates. So that could be an MD, like I have, or it could be a PhD, it could be a PharmD, any kind of doctorate qualifies.
Okay. Is there a doctor in the house? There's
Yeah,
one
we
right
have somebody
there.
else. Maybe
There's one
she'll
right there. Okay, and they're just as stunning, wouldn't you say, Patricia?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe they'll be
think about
competing
it.
next year.
Think about it. Yeah, definitely. I support that 100%. So let's talk about what, some of the parts of your life that have shaped you as the woman you are today. What are some of the challenges that you've faced?
So some of the challenges I've faced, I guess the biggest challenge I would say is growing up in an abusive environment in my childhood. And that's part of what inspired me to compete in Mrs. Universe, because that pageant is about domestic violence awareness. And that's part of what's also inspired me to compete in Dr. World Productions, because there's 3 components to Dr. World. There's 3 pillars of education, community service, and mentorship. And all 3 of those really resonate with me. When I was a teenager, that's when I first got into pageants, and the first pageant I did was an ambassadorship pageant. It was really kind of focused on those pillars unofficially, and so that was a way that I got to understand how important it was to be involved in my community. But going back to your question about challenges, growing up in an abusive environment is a challenge in the day-to-day of it, because there's that daily trauma of fear and pain and not knowing if there's ever going to be a light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
And then there's the challenge after you do leave that abusive situation, which is there's the possibility of post-traumatic stress or post-traumatic growth. And whether or not somebody gets the stress disorder or growth kind of depends on a few things, like their biology, their psychological tendencies, and I think most importantly, their social environment, the community around them, their support system. For a long time, I had a really strong support system, and I felt that I had come out of my childhood as a success story. I mean, I got into medical school, and I felt that I was very successful as somebody who had experienced post-traumatic growth. But then I moved to the other side of the country for residency, and I was torn apart from my support system, and I felt that the environment was very hostile to me from the beginning of my postgraduate training. And that's where my story of post-traumatic stress disorder started. So it's been a long journey, and I'm lucky that I have landed with some really great trauma therapists who have helped me to work through that childhood trauma and adulthood trauma. But it's been a hard journey of trauma, and it's an ongoing healing.
Yes.
And I think that it's really important for me to talk about this. So there is so much stigma around mental health difficulties in general, but I also think that there's a special kind of stigma around a mental health professional having had problems with her mental health, because people seem to think that if you're a psychiatrist or psychologist or any kind of mental health professional, you need to have perfect mental health to help people.
Right.
And it's interesting because I want to get across that we are all human. And your doctor is just as capable of getting sick and suffering with PTSD as anybody else is capable of having any kind of illness. And I actually personally would rather have a doctor who has experienced suffering and healed from it, as opposed to somebody who has only ever read about pain in textbooks. So I think that there's an element of mentorship to being an abuse survivor and a trauma survivor myself. And I think that that's something that can help me to heal my patients. And hopefully I can be a stronger psychiatrist because of it.
Well, I think you deserve a huge round of applause, for sharing that incredible story, and also to be a champion of mental health and survivor abuse. That's incredible. So you have a website as well. Can you just talk about that quickly?
Yeah, so I created the website isthatabuse.com as part of my pageantry platform a few years ago, and it's something that I continue to promote with every pageant I do. Oh, we're showing the Dr. World Productions website actually now. Yeah, so that is the system that I'm in now, which is such a great system at highlighting women's achievements and highlighting women's community service. So my community service education mentoring that I do is a lot around trauma and mental health awareness and recovery. And this website actually, my Google Analytics tells me that it reaches thousands of people every month, which is amazing. It's been a long journey of a few years of building that up. But it's just so touching to me when somebody reaches out to me through the website and says that something about the website has helped them to get through their situation, whether it was some of the resources available or some of the inspiring words or some of the knowledge. It's because a lot of the times people don't know that their situation is abusive. It's not really black and white. So I'm really happy that my platform has come this far, and I love using pageants as a way to bring more attention to my cause.
I love that. Thank you so much. And how can we support you in Dr. World representing Canada?
Yeah, so there's no voting component. So if there was, I would say vote for me. But you can support me by following me on @Patricia Celan at my Instagram, and I will continue to share updates about my pageantry journey there, and about my life in general. So yeah.
Awesome. Before we close, and again, thank you so much for sharing so candidly. If a young lady is watching right now and she's considering entering the pageant, what would you say to her?
Oh, I would say absolutely. So the Dr. World Productions system, it's for people with doctorates, but also people who may not have a doctorate yet or may not have that as a goal. There is a Miss Achievement World component to the pageants. So there's a place for anybody who wants to be more involved in their community or who wants to be involved in education, raising awareness, or mentorship. It's a really great system for people in general to get involved, and yeah, I would really encourage anyone who wants to be involved in pageantry, especially because it's virtual, so that makes it easier, is that everything, your interviews and your pageant walk, all those components are virtual, so it's a nice way to get involved in pageants without having to, fly to Bulgaria like I did a few months ago.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Patricia, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your incredible journey, and I wish you all the best. And I hope you bring back the title for us.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
I would love to do that.
Thank you. All right. Dr. Patricia Celan, please support her and reach out to her on social media. We'll be right back.